On August 12th at 1:35 p.m., we have the new moon in Leo. A lot of Leo stuff is about identity. And the last time I talked to you guys, I went home after I recorded the video and I was like, I think I want to call this like it was the moon meetings at first because I was meeting you guys just for the new moon and the full moon. And we were just talking about the new moon and the full moon. But lately, the past couple months, I've been doing from the new moon to the full moon and from the full moon to the new moon in these videos and just kind of like a vibe check. So I think we're gonna call this "What's the Vibe?" Ding. So the moon meetings are now "What's the Vibe?" Because we're gonna talk about the vibe of the new moon in Leo up to the vibe of the full moon in Pisces, which happens on August 28th, but it is 12:18 a.m. Every time I give you guys the time, it's Eastern Standard Time. I'm in New York, so you have to adjust for your time. So that full moon in Pisces is going to be on August 27th in some places. But typically, we don't talk about the next moon until we get to the next video. So today, I'm going to lead you right up to that full moon and then we'll pick up on it next video. If this is the first time you're seeing me, I'm Sammy. I'm the owner of Infinity Aura Av, where I curate a bunch of cool stuff for your aura, mind, body, and soul. So we have clean beauty care, we have manifesting candles and oils, and just some stuff for you to cleanse your aura at home too. Like I've got tarot cards if you want to learn tarot. On the YouTube, there's also Tarot 101. There's Astrology 101. I'm going to be doing the 102 videos soon. Anyway, today we're going to talk about if you're new not new here, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about this new moon and typically I will start like the day before or 2 days before. But I'm going to get started right on this Leo full moon for no reason other than that's what I felt like doing this time. So it's probably going to be posted. I'm hoping to get this out on Tuesday, the day before. Like I said, the new moon is on the 12th, so let's get started. I'm going to bring up the chart for the 12th so you can see what I'm looking at. So I have my chart here, I have my notes here, and you have the chart here, and maybe you should take some notes. All right, let's get started. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Leo. We've got the sun, the moon, Jupiter, and Mercury all in Leo. Mercury has just moved there on the 9th. So Mercury coming out of Cancer was expression was um expression and thinking was a little bit more emotional than it is now, right? I talked to you guys about this last time with Mercury and Cancer. There's also like that tendency to romanticize like nostalgia. You have to be really careful with that. But now with Mercury and Leo, a lot of that energy is brought back to ourselves, our identity, how we shine, especially with the sun still in there. And now the moon's in there full. And Jupiter is in there right on top of Mercury, pretty much. Or I should say, Mercury is on top of Jupiter because Jupiter's been in there. And Mercury has just joined the show into Leo. A lot of times, this can bring in good news or just big news because Mercury just expands. And a lot of it is about the house that Leo rules in your chart or the self and the identity. Now, when I say identity, somebody's going to get mad at that because identity is really like an Aries thing. Um, but it is an identity expression with Leo. The only difference is Aries identity is in the head and Leo identity is in the heart. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is Aries is who you think you are and Leo is who you feel you are. And that's a lot of what we're looking at with this new moon. How do you identify as far as how you want to shine your light, right? Because Leo placement will put on the show. It's visible for everyone to see. So, how do you identify mentally, physically, and spiritually in those areas? And the new moon wants to know how you want to identify going forward because we're manifesting something new. This is a new cycle. So, you have to ask yourself the difference between the two, right? If there's a difference between how you want to show up and how you're actually showing up, it creates a little bit of turmoil, right? And this Leo new moon is giving you the chance to manifest and change those things. Now, it is happening opposite Pluto, so it can feel like making changes are being stopped by external events and people around you, but that is meant to usher you into making those changes, right? Because if you don't have some kind of catalyst that's giving you a little bit of friction, how else are you supposed to get there? So Mars in Cancer is in kind of a loose square with Venus in Libra. The square is not exact, but it's pretty close, close enough that it is affecting the energy, right? So Mars in Cancer is kind of first of all, Mars does not like it in Cancer. Mars in Cancer is acting from emotions, right? Being triggered and acting emotionally. And Venus in Libra just kind of is chilling. She's peaceful, she's balanced, she's not really acting or reacting. And this square here makes the energy kind of difficult, right? There's a tension between how you're going about getting things and what you actually want. And that's not to say that it's wrong. That's just the energy that's out there right now. So this Mars and Cancer vibe of acting from emotions is not really doing much for Venus when she's in Libra and she's like, I just want to chill and I just want pretty things. Like you're acting a little kooky over there and I'm just trying to hang out. You're not going to get from Venus what you want that way. And that's just bringing up a little bit of tension. And then we come out of that. It's that energy is in a loose square for quite some time. Let me look at the dates. I'll tell you when we come out of that. I would say by like early next week, early into August 17th, that's a Monday. So like maybe even that weekend, that kind of loosens up a little bit. But we still have Mars is still going to be in Cancer and Venus is still going to be in Libra. So like the energy will still be butting heads, but the square is not going to be so obvious and so in your face. And for that new moon, we also have Mercury is sextile Uranus in Gemini. So this is just like some kind of information that's given to you. Like Uranus in Gemini is all kinds of information all the time, whether you're looking for it or it's coming to you, right? And Mercury, Leo and Mercury is big, expressive, bold energy, but these two things are working together. They're helping each other out. So there's some kind of big expression here, and some of this information that comes out. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's related to like the self and the things that you need to do to kind of tweak who this person is that you desire to become. So on Thursday, the 13th, we are looking at Mercury in Leo is going to be sextile Venus in Libra. This is just a good day for conversation, good, fun vibes, conversations flowing well. We're coming off the new moon and people are just in a little bit of an okay. I wanna say, like, vibes are high, but we you do have to be aware that Mars is in Cancer here. So the vibes are high and people are vibing well, but there's also that inclination for people to be crabby in action, as a result of how they're feeling. And that's just what the vibes are with Mars and Cancer. You just kind of have to know that that's what you're dealing with. On Saturday, the 15th, we have that Mercury and Jupiter conjunction is exact. So they were pretty close already for the new moon, and now they're exact. This just brings in more good conversation. This also brings in some conversation that might help you learn something. Maybe you're teaching somebody something. And it also could be learning and teaching somebody about yourself or learning and teaching about somebody else because that's what you're dealing with in Leo is self-expression. So don't be surprised if you find out some things about some people through conversation that you didn't know before. So Monday, August 17th, we have Mercury in a trine with Saturn. We have Jupiter in a trine with Venus, and we have Mars in a square with Neptune. So, like I said before, the identity stuff with Aries is about identity in the head, right? And in Leo, it's identity in the heart. And I've talked to you guys a lot before about the Saturn and Neptune stuff that's going on in Aries about rebuilding the self. That's more of a mental thing, and those are longer transits. And now you're looking at rebuilding the self um, through the spirit and the heart of how do I put this? In Leo, In Aries, it's more about like who you think you are. I keep saying this, who you think you are and who you feel you are in Leo. So this is like a these two energies are working well together right now, right? Because you have these trines coming up, and the fire sign to fire sign would be a trine. Now, with Saturn retrograde in Aries, we're looking back at how we have to set boundaries and restrictions for ourselves so that we can move beyond this level of self to get to who we think we really are. Neptune's in there too. It makes it a little bit dreamier. Sometimes it makes it hard to really see the big picture. But the good thing with this Mercury and Saturn trine is that, like, who you feel you are, right? Mercury is also in that house. So the thinking is now connected. This is the thought process of how do I get to who I really feel that I am. And Saturn retrograde trining this energy in Aries is like, great. I'm glad you think that way. I'm glad you feel that way. These are the restrictions that we have to put so that we can get there. It's a lot about boundaries, but a lot of it is about boundaries for yourself. Where do you have to be more disciplined? Where have you not been as disciplined as you know you should because you know? You already know. You already know because Saturn's retrograde. This is not new information. These are things that you have dealt with already that need to be readdressed. The same day, we're still talking about Monday the 17th, you have Venus in Libra trine Leo and Aries. I like this a lot for self expression in art. If you're an artist and you're not making some kind of art, then you're missing out on some really, really, really good energy for self expression. And we've also got Mars square Neptune. With Neptune and Aries, there's like a little bit of a dissolution of the self, right? And then we're talking a lot about that with these transits. There's some kind of old you that has to die. And this is a long transit. So this is not like moon through a sign in 2 days and this transit's over. We're talking about 14 years. We just got here last year. So there's a dissolution of the self, and that energy is square this Mars in Cancer energy. And what did I say about Mars in Cancer? We're talking about very reactive, motivated by emotion energy. And that is in a square, it's at war with this dissolution of the self. So just be careful that the way that you're reacting emotionally, maybe take a second because Mars is quick too. Mars is quick to act. So maybe take a second if you feel like you're reacting emotionally and dial it back and process it before, because it's going to clash with this new version of yourself. The next day I want to look at is August 21st. There's when I talk to you guys about some of these transits and I skip a couple days, it's not that there's nothing going on. The moon moves through a sign every 2 days. I'm not going to go through the moon transits too deeply. That would be a much longer video. I would probably have to come on here weekly. Maybe someday we will do that, but I don't have the time for it right now. I'm doing the best I can. So so when I come on here and I skip a few days, it's not that there's nothing going on. It's just I'm talking to you about the bigger vibe shifts instead of the nuances of the moon and how you feel, because the moon is not, I shouldn't say just emotions, but the moon is emotions. So sometimes those transits are a little bit more fleeting, and it's not that they're not important. I just come on here um 2 weeks apart and we talk about some of the bigger stuff. If you want a reading, you can book me at infinityorab.com and we can go over a lot of that stuff on I do Zoom. But anyway, let's get back to it. So Friday the 24th, we have Venus opposite Saturn. Venus opposite Saturn is kind of a day to just take a step back and reassess a lot of things as far as finances, relationships, friendships. Saturn opposite wants you to be practical and stop for a second and take a look at those things and go, okay, this is what I have in front of me, and this is how I need to behave going forward in these situations. Venus in Libra is a little bit indulgent. She likes to party. She likes to chat. I wouldn't say party like we're gonna go out and party hard, but she likes to be social. She likes things to flow well. She likes to spend money. But Saturn in Aries, a lot of Saturn in Aries is like, no, you can't do that. or you have to do this. This is a priority. This has to come first. For relationships, this can look a little bit like a reassessment. And that goes for, I'm not just talking romantic relationships, I'm talking friendships, family. Am I showing up the way I want to? Are people showing up for me the way I need them to? Have I set the correct boundaries in both of these areas? Saturday the 22nd, the sun moves into Virgo. With the sun in Leo, we're looking at big expression and big picture. With the sun in Virgo, we're looking at refinement and detail. This is the time of year when the kids start to go back to school and like you're back to school shopping, you're figuring out what the schedule is going to be like, the day to day. So, like, we go from the peak of summer to, okay, now we have to dial it back down and get really specific about what has to come next. Because we're ushering ourselves from here. It's still summer. So I hate to say this, but from here, we're ushering ourselves into the fall in a way of like, okay, this is how I have to line my ducks up. Because the fall season and the winter season is really about working, right? You get into Virgo, then we get Capricorn, also about working. Even like Scorpio is the deep inner work. Sagittarius is like the philosophy. So we're looking at like the inner workings of the mind of what needs to be done and progressiveness. And you have to think of it like the seasons too. You don't plant something the same week you're going to eat it, right? So in the uh early spring, you start to plant, right? And in the summer, things have become fully bloomed and you're using these things, right? You're reaping what you've sown in the summertime. And then in the fall, the planning begins. So that's the season that we're ushering ourselves into when we start to get into Virgo season. We're starting to look at the planning of the next season. And right after the sun goes into Virgo, it enters a trine with Chiron. Chiron's in Taurus, addressing the issues of security from childhood, right? What are those triggers from childhood surrounding security, finances, comfort? And Virgo, with the sun in Virgo, and we're looking at the details and the planning, those things are aligning right now. Those two energies are aligning right now in a way that's going to help you. And it trines sometimes are hard because the energy just comes so easy that it can be missed. So I just want you to like keep a lookout for that on Sunday the 23rd because that does help you with the Taurus and Chiron stuff, which is kind of new. Did I say Taurus and Chiron? Chiron and Taurus. You guys know what I mean. I have Mercury and Sagittarius, so I'm backwards a lot of the times. Hopefully you guys follow along with me when I'm speaking. Sometimes I don't know like if I'm rushing or if I'm saying too many words or if people are even really getting what I'm putting down, but I think this camera battery is gonna die. Okay, if this it might die soon, so I'm gonna try to get through this. So we're looking at that was Sunday, the 23rd. And when is the full moon? The full moon is on the 27th. Okay, so between the 23rd and the 27th, the only big vibe shift that I really want to look at is the 25th, which we have Mercury also in a trine with Chiron. So this is some kind of information or conversation that also touches on that Mercury in Chiron stuff. And then when I get back to you, we'll talk about the full moon in Aquarius. I mean, what am I saying? The full moon in Pisces. It's going to be August 28th at midnight on in New York and the 27th for some other places. I hope that was helpful. I did this video structurally a little bit different. I feel like I'm still tweaking some things now that I've done this 2 weeks at a time instead of just coming on and talking to you guys about the moon. But now you know what's the vibe. I will see you next time around the 27th. I hope that was helpful. Check me out on infinityauraav.com if you want to book a reading or if you just need to purchase some cool stuff from your aura, anything from sage to manifestation candles, manifestation oils, or just some stuff to put on your face, skin, hair to make your aura feel good. Because if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you probably look good. It was cool hanging out with you. I'm Sammy, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to tell you to like all the stuff. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Okay, bye.